and welcome back to BookTube with Amy. Today is going to be my most recent weekly wrap up. So I've read quite a lot this week, so I've got quite a bit to chat about. Maybe like grab a wee coffee. I put mine in a travel mug because I think this is going to take a while and I want it to stay warm, so that tells you what kind of video it's going to be. So first of all, I read On Thin Icing by Ellie Alexander, and this is the third book in the Bake Shop Mysteries series. I says in my I seriously need to finish this challenge video at the beginning of the year that I was going to read the next two of these in the series over the course of 2023. I read the second one in January and I read the third one in February. So perhaps Simon has also bought me the next four in this series. I'm really thoroughly enjoying these books and I'm really enjoying this series. So in this one, there's a character in this series called Lance. This is going to be spoilery, by the way, so if you haven't read this series and you're interested, like, skip away now, this is not for you unless you like a spoiler. There's a character in this town called Lance and he is like the local theatre director, very dramatic and theatrical, and we love him to bits. He's brilliant, and he decides that he wants to wine and dine on the board of the theatre. And so he books like this wee cottage out in the middle of nowhere in like the next town over, and he asks Juliet to come for the weekend and cater. So she's like, sounds a dream. So she takes Sterling, who is one of the three kids that, I say kids, they're like teens and 20s, one of the three people who work in the bake shop that isn't Juliet and her mum. And so I really liked that this book took more of a focus on Sterling as a character, because he is a character that I really liked for book one, and you know, book one focused on him a wee bit as well as the other two, and then book two we sort of forgot less of them, so I'm really glad that we got more time to focus with him in this one. But they're out in the middle of nowhere and a murder happens, and Juliet's ex-husband Carlos shows up, and because there's been a murder, the police show up, and Thomas is also her ex-high school boyfriend she has been reconnecting with recently. So very awkward and I was loving it. This book has felt like the coziest out of the three of them so far, I reckon, and I think maybe just because it was like out in the middle of nowhere, and this was set in January, the end of January coming into Feb, which was like the perfect time to read this. And so it was all like freezing and snowy, and you know, like there was a power cut, and so they didn't have heating, and they were on like their big snow gear with like fires burning and blankets, and that is a dream. So it just felt super cosy to read. The recipes and the food chat in here was excellent. I really liked, like I said earlier, getting to know Sterling a wee bit more. I think that he is a legend and wise beyond his years, and I'm looking forward to getting to know him a wee bit better as the books progress. Obviously, the crux of this story was the romantic tension between Juliet, Carlos and Thomas. Now, I am claiming it right now. I'm sure I spoke about it in my wrap-ups before, but I ship Juliet and Thomas so much. Carlos is an absolute wank. I really don't like him. Didn't want her to get back together with him. But in this book she was sort of feel like getting off Sweeney or Carlos, and I'm like, are you for real, gal? Like, he lied to you about having an actual human child. Like, the child is 8. He's lied to you for 8 years. No, don't get back together with him. Man's a liar. Doesn't matter how Spanish and charming he is, he's a liar. I'm not for it. At the end of this book we're sort of left at a bit of a cliffhanger, which is making me immediately want to read the next one, and I'm sure I will get that later in the month. But we're sort of left in a position where she says to Thomas, like, look, we are just friends, like this is just a friendship, because Thomas suspects that Carlos might have had something to do with it, and she thinks that it's because Thomas likes her, that he is suspecting that it's Carlos. So she's like, nothing can happen between us, but actually, like, in her internal monologue is a bit conflicted because she thinks that she might have feelings for Thomas, and in the last book when Thomas was seeing somebody else she was getting quite jealous, and you know, she's trying to work out her own feelings. and you know, Carlos says to her like, I'll do anything that you want to try and make this work. And so she is swithering with the idea of asking Carlos to stay in Ashland, but she doesn't think that he will enjoy it because, you know, he's a bit of an explorer and this kid is halfway around the world. So excited for the next one. This was a 5-star read for me. Every single book in the series so far has been a 5-star read for me. They're just like epically cozy and like phenomenal. At this point I might just binge read the rest of the series this year. They're still being published though, it's still an ongoing series, so I can't get like too far ahead, but it was fantastic and I had such a fun time with it. So next up I read Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page. Then I read The Yellow Brick War, and then I read The Wicked Will Rise, and then I read The End of Oz, and I read the entire series. I did these via audio. They were available on Scribd, and if you saw my last Try That Trope vlog, you know that I was on a wee bit of a DIY kick, and that continued. So I've just been like staining and building furniture like nobody's business. I had 2 bedside tables and a desk to do after that vlog, and like my back is killing me. I have wee old lady knees at this point, but while I was getting all of that done, I was just listening to this series on audio. I can't really talk about this entire series without giving away spoilers, but if you want to know how I rated them, the first 2 in the series rated a 4-star, the last 2 in the series rated a 3-star, but I am going to go into spoiler territory, so if this is a series that you're interested in, catch you later, have a nice day, but we need to be dishing the tea. So these, in case you can't tell by the snappy titles, are Wizard of Oz retellings. So they are focused around your main character Amy, and Amy lives in Kansas and she doesn't have the best life, and she gets whirled away to Oz in a tornado, not unlike Dorothy. But when she gets to Oz, everything's a wee bit back to front. And so if you are wicked, you are good, and if you're good, you are wicked. And it takes her a wee bit of time to, you know, figure everything out. I really did enjoy this series. I felt like it was very fun, it was very easy to read, and it was YA, but it dealt with a couple of hard-hitting topics that I want to talk about. One thing that I think this book did brilliantly is deal with Amy's mum's addiction. So Amy in real life, her mum is a bit of a deadbeat mum. You know, her dad left, and I believe her mum was in an accident which caused her to get reliant on pain medication, and on top of the pain medication she's also a bit of an alcoholic. And Amy has spent a lot of her formative years trying to clean up after her mum and helping support her mum to get clean, and you know, her mum hasn't been able to manage that, and so there understandably is quite a bit of resentment there. Now, addiction is always something that is really hit or miss for me in books. I don't always feel like it is handled brilliantly, and if it's not handled brilliantly, it really puts me off the book. To be honest, it's something that I think specifically in Scotland we have a lot of issues with, and so it's something that's close to my heart. I'm sure that everybody fearing about here would know somebody close to them who has suffered with addiction issues, and you know, I say it all the time, but like, it's a genuine illness and I don't always feel like it is treated as such. So for the first couple of books in this series, I wasn't really loving how the addiction was being handled. Amy, she's obviously a teen, like it's YA, but she just wasn't really understanding anything from her mum's perspective, I felt, and you know, just was considering her mum to be really selfish, and was quite offended that after she went missing her mum managed to get clean, because she's like, oh, I tried to help you for years, and like, clearly me being there wasn't enough, but then now that I've buggered off, you've managed to get clean yourself. It's like, I have no bearing on your life. And I get that that's a very naive teenage perspective, but it was still a wee bit annoying to read it as an adult, because I'm like, right, that's very self-centred, like, let's think about your mum, like, she's the one who's struggling here, but like, also appreciate she's had to run about after her mum, and so she's not very pleased about it. So I didn't love how it was being handled in the first 2 books. However, in the 3rd book, I sort of understood what the author was doing with the addiction storyline, and I really enjoyed it. So because Amy is from Earth, like Dorothy is. She doesn't belong in Oz, and the magic in this world can corrupt them very easily, whereas if you're born in Oz, you're obviously used to the magic. And so Dorothy became addicted to the magic essentially, and she's trying to do loads of different things to make sure that she can keep the magic and, you know, get more magic and more power and be the most powerful, because she is addicted. And Amy starts to feel herself going down that slope a wee bit, but she very quickly pulls herself back, and, you know, she's very reflective about it, and she's got a good group of friends around her who are supporting her through that. And any time they notice that she's starting to slip a wee bit, you know, they stop her from using magic so that she doesn't get addicted. But what I really liked is the author drew the comparison between Amy being addicted to magic and then realising how her mum must have felt when it came to her addiction, and, you know, it gave her this deeper level of understanding and gratitude and reflectiveness for everything that her mum had been through, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. And I liked seeing them come back together again, and, you know, sort of with that new understanding being put into play. So I really did enjoy that. And, you know, Amy, it wasn't just a straight line for her. You know, there were times where she used her magic when she shouldn't have. There were times where she felt like that was the only thing that she could do, and she really sort of started to understand like how much control it would have taken for her mum to really get herself clean, and she had a bit of a newfound respect for her after that. So I really did enjoy that, and it was one of the most positive parts of the story for me. The characters in here were great. I really loved a lot of the characters, and although Dorothy is the villain in the beginning, I feel like by the last book you actually feel sorry for her a bit as well. Something that I think was done really well in here is the first 3 books are from Amy's perspective, and then the last book shifts and you get half Amy's perspective, half for Dorothy's perspective. And I normally hate when authors do that, when they switch how they're writing a series halfway through. But I really enjoyed it in here because I think just getting to hear Dorothy's internal thoughts really helped you feel for her, which just made the ending of the series, I guess, even more powerful. So I did enjoy that. One of the biggest misses for me, and to be honest, it was the thing that really knocked this down in terms of ratings for me. If these 2 elements of the book potentially weren't in here, then the first 2 would have been a 5-star and the last 2 would have been a 4-star. But I've had to knock them down because of these 2 things that really grated me. Let me get a drink first. You know, it's going to be a good rant when I take a sip. So first of all, the series tackles bullying. Amy, you know, given that her mum isn't the best mum, she doesn't have the trendiest clothes or, you know, the cleanest appearance, and she lives in a trailer park and she gets bullied at school quite heavily for that. And there's like a certain girl who does a lot of the bullying, and I didn't like the way that the bullying was handled in here. I feel like Amy's mum just took a sort of a suck it up approach, and when she retaliated in this book at one point, causing her to get expelled. That happens in the first book, and when that happens her mum's like, oh Ken, like you should have just took it, like why did you, like no, you didn't just encourage your kids to put up with bullying, like that's not how this works. And then in book 3, Amy ends up back in Kansas because there's an element or something on Earth that they are looking for, that they need, so they send her back to Kansas so that she can get what they need and then go back to Oz. And when she comes back, her and her bully just become like best pals, and there's never a resolution there. Like there's no a conversation where it's like, right, this is how you made me feel, and if we're going to move forward and have a friendship, then like you need to take accountability for your actions. And it seemed like Amy was just so relieved that she wasn't going to be bullied anymore, that she was just going to become best pals with this lassie that made her life absolute hell. Like, it's just not how it works. and I really didn't like that. And there is a conversation that happens in the last book where they do sort of talk about it, and the bully does take responsibility for her actions and like is apologetic for the way that she's made Amy feel. But at this point, like, they've been friends for quite a while, so like of course you would feel bad for making one of your friends feel like that, but I feel like that conversation should have took place in book 3, like, because they weren't friends at that point, and so then if there wanted to be a genuine friendship there, then she would have needed to have apologised. So I just didn't feel like that made a lot of sense, and it really pulled me out of it, and then I ended up not really enjoying or supporting their friendship in book 3 and 4 because that conversation didn't take place, and it just felt wrapped up so conveniently for me when, you know, it caused our main character Amy quite a lot of trauma throughout the first 2 books, and, you know, she talks about it quite a lot. So I didn't enjoy that, and I ended up no buying into their friendship in any way. So that was a big miss of the book, because like in the past, like the last 2 books, it is a huge focus, and that bully character ends up becoming one of our main characters and joining Amy on the journey in Oz. And so I really just didn't like their relationship, and every time that they were on page being pals, I was just like, oh really? So I didn't enjoy that. The other thing I don't feel like this book handled very well is teaching young female readers that you can be sassy and you can have an opinion, but like you don't need to be a bitch. And I just didn't understand, like, when are we going to stop encouraging younger females to like tear down other women? Like, we're supposed to be past this by this point, like it's supposed to be like women helping to support and raise up other women. There's supposed to be a sisterhood and love there. Like, this book definitely didn't promote that. So Amy's bully character, I can't even remember her name, right? That's how much I hated her. But anyway, so her bully character in the very first book is pregnant, and the author makes some pretty harsh remarks about teen pregnancy, which I personally didn't enjoy. Teen pregnancy is pretty prevalent in Scotland, and I appreciate that that might not be the right choice for everybody, and, you know, some of the teen pregnancies might be accidents, but also some teen mums are far better mums than women my age. Like, if I was to be a mum right now, I'd probably be a terrible mum, like, but a teenage mum might be a far better mum than me, and I felt like the author was pretty critical of that, which I didn't really like. And like, I just don't feel like we should be tearing girls down for being teenage mums. Like, why are we not supporting them to be the best mums that they can be, and then go back into education or going into the workplace, or, you know, just staying at home and looking after their kids but being the best parents they can be? Like, no, everybody needs to do the whole high school, college, uni, job approach to things in life. Like, everybody's lives are different and it isn't a straight line. So like, what's your ish? I really didn't like that. And then throughout Amy's journey throughout the series, like, I just feel like she's so bitchy for no reason sometimes, and I just didn't think that there was a need for it. And I really liked Amy's character when she wasn't making comments like that, but I like, just really horrible, and it was almost always to other female characters. I didn't really notice her doing this to any of the male characters in the books, like, and there's quite a few, but it was always the female ones that she was tearing down and being bitchy about, which I just really didn't like. I feel like it is shitty, yeah, especially a female YA author, to portray a teenage lassie like that, because then that, if you're reading that as a teenage lassie, you're impressionable, and so you think that the only way you can be strong is if you're tearing other people down. Like, it's a shitty fucking message. So I really didn't like that. There's quite a lot of like slut shaming in here, I feel. Obviously I spoke about the teen pregnancy, but then like the first time Amy meets Dorothy, like, she's just going on about her tits and how much her tits are out and how like they shouldn't be. She meets another female character at one point and she does the same. She's talking about her tits, moaning about them, and then when she encounters Dorothy another few times, again moaning about her tits and stuff. Like, who gives a fuck what somebody wears? Like, so frustrating. And then I like just bitchy things about people's looks, and I can't abide it. Like, it's such a shit stereotype, like, that we push on younger females, and it's just not the way that I want the world to be. Like, that's not the world that I want to live in. I want to live in a world where we are encouraging them to be supportive and to stick up for each other, because life's fucking tough and we need to have each other's backs. No being like, oh, the only way you can be like a strong female person is if, you know, you make everybody else around you feel like absolute shit. Like, no. So that made me really angry, and it brought my ratings of the book down. And to be honest, as much as I did enjoy the world and I really did enjoy the characters, like, overall that is one of the biggest things that I took away from the series in general. So as much as I had fun reading them, like, I probably wouldn't give these to a younger reader to read. I think that me reading them as an adult, like, objectively, I know better. Whereas if you're reading these as a teenage girl, you maybe don't. So I probably wouldn't recommend these to anybody younger, even though they are YA. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying everything that you're reading at the moment. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!